girl. Scoot yourself back. Yep. Hey, y'all. Hey. We live. Okay. Okay. You over here talking mess. Girl, close that door. Hey, y'all. Hey, it's me, your girl, the crazy melanin princess, a.k.a. Big Mama. And as I told y'all before, that we was going to have us a special guest. And welcome to our final, it's not final like that. I mean, unless I pass away, which he's going to make sure my family's taken care of should I do so. However, this is our last live podcast of this season. Next week is our last show, but it's not going to be live. So it's going to be a party. And y'all going to see the party. It's my birthday. And it's a podcast pool party. So you'll get clips of that. But that's next week. So this is the last time that we're live until next season, which will be the Tuesday after Labor Day. We'll be back. And then I'll have more guest speakers, but he will also come back. So if you have questions now, go ahead and ask them. If you have some later on, you can always still ask them because y'all know where to find me. And his information is right here. I will add more if you guys need it. Let me make sure. Okay. So my chat's right here in case somebody says anything. So thank y'all. Welcome. I'm going to forego a lot of what I usually go over because it's nonsense, but you know, we like it. But our time capsule, I am going to do the time capsule just because we have to lock in the date. What's the date? July 1st, right?
Yeah, July 1.
July 1st. Cancer season, as I told y'all last week, because that's the most important thing, is cancer season, okay? And my other co-hosts in the backyard, if you hear them barking, you know, they always got to make their scene. And before I welcome him, today, July 1st, them Israelis, they airstruck them Gaza again. That sucks. Today. This was happening today. They hit people at a kid's birthday party. So I'm just going to put it out there. Some renowned visual artist, I don't know, but clearly he's known, and a journalist, making him the 227th Palestinian journalist killed since October of 2023. Wow. I think Trump came up with, so I think the House has just moved their, the Senate just met, concluded with their big, beautiful bill, and moved it over to the House, so I guess we'll be reporting on that at some point in time or another. But listen to these famous cancer notables, because their birthday is today. Princess Diana, I'm in great company. Missy Elliott, Dan Aykroyd, Pamela Anderson, and Carl Lewis. And then one other, Evelyn Champagne King. All today. That's so fancy. But this day in history, there's some big stuff that didn't happen on July 1st in history. The first Olympic Games in the U.S. was in St. Louis in 1904. Started on July 1st. The very first Tour de France, July 1st, 1903. There were some other ones. 1963, the U.S. introduced zip codes on today. Did y'all know that? A zip code. We always thought they was around. No, that's some new shit. The DEA was founded today. Y'all already know what I got. Okay. They ain't gonna come after me though, because we done got real far with our lack of prohibition, because stuff is legalized now. They ain't gonna come get me. Let's see, what else? Was something else? And I think that might be it. Hong Kong returns to China after 150 years of British rule. So China got Hong Kong back on today too. So that's pretty much it. That's our time capsule. So we'll go on and lock that thing up and put it to rest. I've got nobody else. My black business for today is sitting right here with me. We all can support. I do. They be snatching my payment every month. I can tell y'all that. So, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce my special guest. When I say special, emphasis on the word special. No, I'm just. Okay, Brian Watson. He is a seasoned financial consultant and regional vice president with over a decade of experience in the financial services industry, licensed in both life insurance and securities. Brian specializes in helping families and individuals build generational wealth through education, smart financial strategies, and transparent planning. With a background rooted in ethical advisory, he advocates for term life insurance over cash value products, putting the client's long-term benefit first. As a recognized leader with Primerica, Brian has mentored and developed dozens of agents across the country, helping them grow professionally while empowering the communities they serve. He's also deeply involved in nonprofit leadership, serving within the Masonic fraternity, where he contributes to charitable initiatives, including youth membership and annual toy drives. Brian brings a no-nonsense, relatable voice to conversations about money, leadership, entrepreneurship, and financial literacy, especially for underrepresented communities. His mission is simple: disrupt outdated thinking and make financial freedom achievable for everyday people like your girl who got a spending problem, who's not that great with money the way she used to be back in the day. And so with that, this is Brian Watson. But let me tell y'all this. Okay, so, this is what I'm drinking. This Kilbrin. We got it at Total Wine. They recommended it when we were talking about Jameson. And so two of the attendants was like, oh, you guys should try this. And so we tried it. I will say it tastes very much like Jameson. I mean, I don't have a palate for whiskey. You see, I'm drinking whiskey today and not vodka. You know why? I'm trying to be a man's girl today. So I had to put some ginger beer in mine because I didn't want hair to grow on my chest on screen. So that's why I'm drinking this today and sharing with my buddy. We went to Normandy Christian. I'm not going to say the year.
Ooh. Yeah.
Because it was a long time ago. Even longer for him. He long in the tooth.
Easy.
Long in the tooth. So the reason why I brought Brian on today, I have a lot of conversations. You guys know how my brain be working. Have a lot of conversations with people surrounding a number of things. And as it relates to money, finance, where we find ourselves in this political landscape that is definitely making wages seem far smaller and all the things we need or desire much larger because of the money or the financial aspect, I said no better way for me to end this season of the show than with bringing on my very first guest, but also somebody who can speak to the times that we're living in now, as his bio states, strategies as to how to help us be better with our finances, especially in this climate, but also to put some things in motion for, dare we think about it, after, right? What happens after? How are we providing for our families after? What do we do after? And so with that, I'll kick it off and just let him kind of go in for a second with what he does, how he helps. If you guys need any of this, you're in California. What other states are you able to help with?
Oh, God. At least 12 to 15 other states. Texas, Ohio, Georgia, Louisiana, Alabama. I really don't have a limit because helping you in another state is more of a administrative thing. It's just a form and a fee. So it really takes a matter of just a couple of days to fill out the form and just pay the fee for it, and boom, my license is extended in said state. But A phone call, an email is all it really takes, and then we can start from there. But yeah, to your point, initially it just starts with a conversation, and then the one thing I do tell my clients, just develop the habit of saving first, if you haven't already done so. Developing the habit of saving is more important than how much you're saving. Once you develop the habit, then we can start increasing the dollar amount. Ideally, you want to start this early on. But if not, develop the habit first. And from there, we can start building off of that. Then we want to look at debt. We believe in, debt stacking or debt snowballing. Help you get out of debt. You get out of one, we stack that payment on top of the next, and so forth and so forth. And then exponentially, you get out of debt that much faster. And now you've freed up X amount of money. You've saved yourself that much more in interest and so forth. Now you've freed up this much money that you can now put towards either your emergency savings or your wealth building account. We are firm believers that you should have 3 fundamental accounts. An emergency account, which means basically you should have at least 3 to 6 months of overhead saved. During the height of COVID, we were telling clients anywhere from 6 to 9 months to almost a year saved. Because as you guys saw, companies were shut down for at least 9 months to a year. So during that time, we were definitely strongly encouraging our clients to save as much as they could for as long as they could. But traditionally, you want at least 3 to 6 months of overhead saved in the event of an emergency. You want a short-term account for those short-term expenses that you foresee coming. I want to buy a new car, or even, hey, we want to save up for these new major appliances that we see that we want to purchase, or the new remodel for the house. And then finally, your wealth building account, which is your retirement account. So this is something that you won't touch for the next 15 to 20 years. So this is that long-term nest egg that you're going to build over the course of time. Sitting down with someone that you trust and who's looking out for your best interest, such as myself, we can sit down and map out a true game plan for yourself, meet you where you are, and get you where you need to be for your future. The foundation for all this is a good life insurance policy. Life insurance is in the event you die too soon. Too often, people in our community don't want to have this conversation because you feel you're bringing death into the house, or I've even heard people say, my folks didn't leave me nothing, why should I leave them something? Well, you leaving behind a financial burden, truthfully, is what you're doing. Or my folks didn't leave me nothing, or why should I do this? I don't want to make them rich. Well, it's not why not? Why not change the narrative? Why not be the catalyst of something different within your own household? It's not as expensive as you think it is. Because life insurance isn't meant to be for your entire life. It's really meant in case you die too soon. We believe in buy term and invest big, meaning you buy term insurance for a given period of time. During that same term, you're investing the entire time, so that way at the end of that term, you have some serious options. If you've been investing in discipline during that term, 25, 30, 35 years, now you have a serious option. We can actually sit down and have a conversation of saying, hey, look, well, you've been investing diligently this past 25 to 35 years. You actually have more investments in the savings than you do in life insurance. So do you really need the life insurance at this point? You have the option to say no then, because you really have enough now that in case something happens, your beneficiaries have enough access to resources to take care of everything if it came down to it.
So you say saving.
Mm-hmm.
When people, because this is the biggest one, I'm living check to check.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so far behind.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I find $1 to save? And the check to check is a dismal place that many people can't see beyond 2 weeks or every week or whenever that pay period hits, right? How do you find yourself able to save? Because if you're check to check, that is into perpetuity.
Correct.
The only thing you can do is either get a windfall of money, win a lotto, that's a windfall, or something big, dead uncle gave you money. Other than that, unless you begin to earn more, you're just in this perpetual cycle. How do you get out of that in an effort to save? Because I think that is where a lot of people, especially in these underrepresented, underserved communities, many people are living check to check. So when someone who has the financial acumen that you have say, oh, save, and then that's when everybody's ears go off because they're like, well, I'm going to save. I'm rubbing nickels together now. Where do the savings come from? Because that typically comes from having extra.
Correct.
Where do you see their launch pad or start to this financial freedom?
So the first thing I do is when I have this conversation with people and they say, look, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, or I'm, struggling trying to make 2 ends meet, and, there's still more a month and not enough money for me. Then we start just looking literally at your finances, literally what you got coming in, what you got going out. Most banking institutions these days have an expense view. It'll let you, when you click on it, it'll let you see where your money is going, which creditor or vendor that you're using the most of. I'll give you an example. I had one client, she has Wells Fargo, and she clicked on it, and it broke it out into a nice little pie chart, and it showed that she was spending $600 a month on DoorDash as opposed to cooking at home. And I said, okay, now if you cooked at home, this is $600 that could go toward your retirement account.
But you still got to eat.
Right. It's inherently cheaper to cook at home as opposed to DoorDash with the fees and so forth. That was one way. And then we also looked at just everything else that you had going on. Okay, you have cable. You have DirecTV, Spectrum, and so forth and so forth. Now, you look at, do you watch that much TV? Do you really need the top tier service that has 8,036 channels and you can only watch one at a time? Or we ended up cutting the cord 4 years ago, and all we do is stream. We don't have DirecTV or Spectrum. Now, granted, we do have
internet.
We do have internet to sustain that, but you're going to have to really start cutting corners where you can to save money, and it's those little sacrifices that add up. So we cut DirecTV. That was almost $200 right there. We don't watch it. Granted, when Game of Thrones came on, all right, cool. We would watch it somewhere else. We got it from somewhere else, But you start looking at places like that to save money. Subscription services to magazines and all the rest of this stuff. Do you really read it? You start looking at, you really have to look at your finances. And what we find is that when you write it down on paper, this is the telling part. When you write it down on paper and you show it to the person how much they're spending on this every month, that's when the aha moment happens. That's when you see, all right, you make this much money a month and you spend this much on this, and this. That's when the realization clicks. Because now, if you have Wells Fargo, Chase, B of A, or whoever you have, and you're swiping that card, it automatically tallies up where this money is going. And you can get a nice little colorful chart that prints out where your money is going. And you start circling, well, you're spending this much money here, on Sephora, on this. Or you spent $1,200 at the Louis Vuitton store. Did you really need that purse? Did you really need these shoes from whatever the shoe store, name the shoe store? Did you really need the shoes? And so forth and so forth. So now this is where the discipline and the sacrifice come into play. And part of my job is to not really help you control your money, but help you manage your behavior around the money.
I think that's the hardest thing.
That's the challenge, is because everybody comes into managing money differently. Because you have to look at how people grew up with money. Because everyone grew up with money differently. Some people who had a lot of money, and so now when they grow up, they just spend it like it's nothing. I get paid in 2 weeks. Don't worry, I'll have it again and I'll just spend it. It doesn't matter. It grows on trees.
So see, myself, I just let everybody who I owe come snatch their money from me. Therefore, they always are paid. Now, my account goes negative.
Right, so then we need to set boundaries. We have to work
Well,
on
they
it.
got to get paid, though.
True, but then we need to set up some sort of payment regime so that way you still have money to function.
That's why I have 3 checking accounts.
Again, we need to set up. We'll talk.
Nah.
So, yeah.
Well, one thing that I was walking with a friend, and we were having this conversation about life insurance. And so he has mentored me. So I act silly and dingy, but I do got a little bit of a brain. And so we were talking about lineage, legacy. What do you leave your kids? We were talking about people who leave their children property, right? And let's just say old LA, right? Before your shack was 1.2 million. I'm talking about when it was about $350,000 to $450,000, right? For a regular home in the city of Los Angeles, that was, pretty nice figure. When you pass away and you leave your home to your children, or it goes to your children, however that is set up, and you might have it set up and you might not, and we'll talk about that too. But you have 3 kids fighting over one house. They also have taxes, because if you don't set it up properly, it could be a hot, crappy mess for these kids to deal with what structure you left them, albeit valued at $450,000. But how do you give each one of your children a check for $150,000? There's taxes on the house, there's upkeep on the house, there's all these things to do with the house. I said, me personally, one thing that I learned from him was life insurance. Through life insurance product, my children will get a check. They don't have to go through probate. They don't have to deal with the taxes on the house. They don't have to deal with inheritance. But I can actually set up a policy and leave each one of them $150,000 from a life insurance policy, which is equivalent to, and I'm not saying anything about home ownership, because I wholeheartedly believe in home ownership. What I'm saying is this one product is able to give your children more of the idea of what you want to leave them, minus a lot of the red tape, the heartache, the pain, the inbred fighting, the this, the that, and you're still ultimately setting your children up for a future where they can have something of wealth, because $150,000, no, it's not millions, but you can get $1 million policy if you want. The policies can vary. There's no other way for you to get, like with the home, there's no way for me to get $1 million home unless I have $1 million credit, $1 million pocketbook. But I could get $1 million policy and leave that to my kids. Now, yes, my premiums may be a little higher, but I'm still leaving my children the exact same thing as a person who bought $1 million home. But for all of us, it's easier to buy $1 million policy than it is for us to go buy $1 million home. And should we pass, hand that to our kid, because there's no way to really slice a house up, divvy it, and then hand out the check. There's so much, if you do not have the proper trust set up, beneficiaries and that whole will and test all those things that this guy can help you have structured and set up. But we're talking about life insurance. And when I said that to someone, imagine everybody in your home having a policy where if you did have a trust set up, every person's 5 of us in the house, we each got $100,000 policy. As everybody begins to pass away, because we are not designed or built to last forever, the wealth that's then created in that trust for those kids after and the kids after, if every single time someone was born, you link them to a policy. I wish, because after I learned that, because I went to their school, what I wish I had known to tell so many people, of course, prior to their untimely demise, is this right here. Can you speak to the structure in which, because I learned that in one of the classes, that, you know, just having the wealth creation built within a home where you look at your white counterparts and you wonder how do they have, you know, their parent died and this and all this, and then there's just so much wealth created. Sadly, these bodies create wealth, I feel. It's tangible when we die. But again, as you said, in our community, that's not what we like to talk about. I'm sorry that we need to be talking about it. And not only talking about that, the way in which you structure things so that there's no miss in what you thought you were putting in place, because I've seen that people thought they put some things in places with wills and this, and none of it got caught up in a court, and none of what was in their mental plan really came to fruition. So can you speak to wealth creation as it relates to the life insurance product, but ways in which people can get their thought around, you know, creating wealth in that, with that?
So, life insurance is the fastest way to create an estate for your beneficiaries. The fastest and the most inexpensive way. I die tomorrow, my kids are getting $250,000 each.
Did you put me in there?
Easy. So that is the fastest way to create an estate for somebody. The fastest and the easiest and most expensive way. Now, on a bigger scale within your own family, not your immediate family, but say your bigger family, like your sisters and your brothers and your cousins and so forth. And if you really want to impact generational wealth within your family, everybody has to be on the same page. Everybody. It takes a series of conversations and a thought and mindset shift that, okay, mom and dad have this life insurance policy on each other. They made the children the beneficiaries. Okay, fine. The children stand to inherit, you know, this large sum of money each. Each one is a portion, a percentage of the total. Okay? Now, over the years, you're having a series of discussions of what to do with this money upon the passing of mom and dad. This is a conversation that has to be ongoing. You can't just do it, set it up, and not say nothing. You have to have this conversation. Don't have it on your deathbed and finally, oh yeah, by the way, look in that top drawer. Here's this policy. No, this has to be a conversation when the kids are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, so that way they know no different. That, hey, look, when I pass on, this money is to be used for these reasons. I got a trust set up, the house is in a trust, a portion of this life insurance policy is going to go in the trust, and the rest is for you guys to do these things with. I've already introduced you to our financial advisor. Ta-da. So at this point, I've already met the children. I've met the entire family. They already know who I am. I come by the house for the holidays and so forth, so they already know who I am. So once they reach the age of majority, I'm just the person, oh yeah, that's my dad's financial guy. So when they start having their families, all they do is follow their parents' footsteps and do the same thing with their children because they don't know any different. And they end up putting a portion of their life insurance policy in the same trust, and so forth and so forth.
Question about the trust.
Mm-hmm.
If I set up, let's just say I set up the trust.
Mm-hmm.
We're 4 generations removed. What I still originally set up is still in place. There's an executor that I would name. When they pass, how does that work generationally?
Succession. So if, hypothetically, you set the trust up, and let's say you made me the executor. All right, so then I exercise the trust, and all right, cool. I would have to set up a new trust to start putting the new stuff in. And then I would set up an executor. And so forth, and so forth, and so forth. It would just be gapped. So everything that you had in your trust, I would dole out. If everybody is on the same page of what you started, we would all set up a new trust. And we would appoint an executor at that point. Who would understand your wishes, and that, okay, fine, we would let Sterling be the executor because he's the youngest of the group.
Oldest.
No, in our group, he's the youngest. So he would be the executor. Okay, cool. We move forward now, 40 years from now, and that trust is now have amassed X amount of resources.
Dollars, property, everything.
Right, all that. So now, at that point, Sterling passes. He has already appointed someone else as an executor of his trust.
Okay.
Whoever that younger person is sets up another trust. They've doled out all these assets and resources, adhering to his wishes, which is now adhering to yours. Another trust is built, and so forth and so forth. It just propagates forward.
So when we watch these TV shows of these melanemic individuals,
it's a family trust that had just been propagated forward.
Okay.
So the money is literally just pushed forward. You can write in the trust, you can really outline in the trust how this money is doled out, down to if anyone contests, that 50% of these assets need to be put into another trust.
Okay.
In order there to be a clear succession going forward.
You can be broke and set up a trust, right?
I'm sorry?
You can be broke and set up a trust, correct?
Setting up a trust is one thing, funding it is totally different. So meaning, yes, you can, because you have to look at a trust as an empty wagon. That's all a trust is a vehicle. Funding it is totally different. You can spend all the time and the resources setting up a trust, but to not fund it is just a waste of time and effort. So you can sit here and pay an attorney, an estate planning attorney, to sit there and open up a trust and fund it, and you can call it whatever you want, the Smith Family Trust. All right, great. But if you don't ever fund it, it is just an empty wagon, an empty box, an empty laundry basket, whatever metaphor you want to use for it, it's just an empty vessel and nothing in it.
So when poor people pass away now, what is their biggest mistake? One, not having life insurance. Understandable. Or, here's another one. I have life insurance. Oh, you do? Yeah, through my job. If something happens, then I have life insurance with my job.
So, the first question I ask when people say they have life insurance through their job is, show me the policy.
And we can't because we don't.
You don't own it.
Hold the policy.
Right. So, your employer, 9 times out of 10, is the owner of the policy. And usually when you go to HR, hey, can I get a copy of my policy? They'll give you a sheet of paper that'll say certificate of coverage. And it's a one-sheeter that'll say, Albert Shelton is covered under said policy, la 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 la. And you're usually paying some nominal fee, $10, or even free, because the company is subsidizing the premium. Now, if you want to pay a little extra to get 3 times your annual salary, all right, fine. by all means, get the free stuff. However, understand the caveats that go with the work-sponsored policy. Usually they have a working definition of what it means to be a full-time employee, because in order to get that benefit, you have to be a full-time employee. So you need to understand what a full-time employee actually means. It means that you have to be working, 40 hours a week or 32 hours a week. Now, you go out on short-term disability. You go on vacation. You out on jury duty. Are you considered a full-time employee because you aren't technically working 32 hours a week? So if you get injured or you happen to pass away to do some freak accident,
my vacation started today.
Right. So if something happens to her during this vacation, they're not going to pay out because she's not gainfully employed as technically a full-time employee because she's not working 32 hours a week. Now, yes, she's a full-time employee. She's employed there, but because she's not working 32 plus hours a week, she's not covered under that particular benefit. The same with accidental death and dismemberment and all the rest of that stuff. They sell you that. It's really cheap, $2 or $3 a pay period. Don't get it. And with the life insurance, with the job, they can make changes to that unbeknownst to you.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend of mine from high school. She died of pancreatic cancer. Her job, very big entertainment network that shows a lot of sports, did not pay out because she failed to tell them that she she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She didn't know she had to tell them.
I was going to say that.
She had no idea she had to tell them.
But somewhere written in the policy,
they changed it.
And she never knew that she had to express
that she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Like I said, the work policy, they can make changes unbeknownst to you and they don't have to tell you. We always advise our clients, you want to have something outside of work that travels with you, because people leave jobs. These days, people are changing jobs like they change underwear. So
I'm trying to.
You leave your job, the policy you have with me will go with you.
Don't I know it?
So
it's one of them bills that gets siphoned from my checking account I pay every month.
Every month.
Oh, I don't look, so I don't know. Sometimes I look and I say, "What's this?" And I say, "Oh, I gotta pay that."
Right.
So I call them like, "That wasn't me." I guess it was me. Okay, so the work policy, because that is huge. Everybody feels as if that is the one pushback that I've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
I have a policy through work. The benefit, speak to the benefit of the outside policy, which is the one that follows them around like a halo, like an angel. And it's because he sells term, as I mentioned. We believe in term life products, and you can speak to the difference, because that's also something that always comes up is what's whole life? What's cash value? Oh, I want to be able to take money out of my life insurance and invest it in, I don't know, getting a RV or something. I haven't.
Right.
Hey, you hear some of everything out there. But what's the difference between the two, and why term?
Okay, so you asked a lot. So
Don't I?
Yeah. So the work policy, we'll start there first. The work policy, you do want to have something outside of work, like I said before, just so that it goes with you wherever you go. 2, you have a lot more control over it, a lot more flexibility. The work policy is really, you don't have any control over it. You can't make any changes to it. As your family dynamic changes, you can't really make the changes you need to make it in real time. Outside the work policy that you would have with me, I'm really a phone call away. You can make any changes that you need to, decrease, increase, a new addition to the family. Boom, you can add a child rider just like that. So it gives you a lot more flexibility and is curtailed to your needs, as opposed to waiting to open enrollment to make any lifestyle changes that you need to make. You know, so those are the big differences. And two, you make the changes you want. The one at work, they can make the changes unbeknownst to you.
Okay.
So those are the big difference. Now, when it comes to term and whole life, two fundamental different things. So with whole life, they tout it as permanent cash value insurance. It's more expensive. A lot of upfront fees, and the cash value doesn't accrue at the same rate as you think. The money you borrow, emphasis on the word borrow, you have to borrow that at about anywhere from 5 to 9% interest, and your beneficiaries don't get to keep that cash value when you die. There's an assumption that people who get like this $300,000 or $400,000 policy, whole life policy, they can borrow from that $300,000 or $400,000. No, you borrow from whatever you've put into it. Mm-hmm. And then it takes anywhere from 2 to 5 years to get any kind of cash value built up that you can borrow.
Because like a car, you're paying for the fees, the interest, all that junky stuff up front.
Exactly. You're paying the commission and the fees that go into it to the agent that sold it to you. So from anywhere from the first 2 to 5 years, you're paying a higher price and you have zero cash value. So essentially, you're depositing money into something for 2 to 5 years and you still have a zero balance.
But should you die, do you get the said cash value?
Yeah, if you pass away, you'll still get the death benefit.
Mm-hmm. Which could be the 3 or 4.
Which could be the 3 or 400,000, whichever one it is.
So that would be the luckiest.
That's the only upfront thing about it. But there is no cash value.
Yeah.
But I ask my clients, why did you get this? Did you get it for the life insurance or the cash value? So their answer depends on how I answer the next question after that. So that's one reason. Well, that's the caveat about cash value. And people always think that, okay, I can take this money and do all this extra with it. And then I've had clients who were instructed to dump a good portion of their retirement money into it. I've had people who were instructed to overfund it. Instead of putting the exact premium of like $400 or $500 a month into this, they were instructed to put $800 to $900 into it, so that way
you'll get to the cash portion faster.
You get to the cash portion faster, and you front load the premium, so you don't have to pay the premiums as often, but you still lose control of the money that you're putting into it. But what you still fail to realize, even though you put that money in there, you've lost control of it. Because now you've given it to the insurance company. Mm-hmm. They still can tell you, yeah, you can borrow this money at 6 to 8 to 9%.
When it was just your whole cash in your pocket with no interest.
It was your money to begin with. So basically, you give me your purse, your wallet in your purse. You tell me to hold it.
But when I need something out of it, you're going to charge me interest.
I'm going to tell you how much. I'm going to say how much you want. Right. You laughing at that, but yeah, right. But if you are in the business of letting someone else hold your money and dictate to you how much of it they're going to give you back, then fine. If that's for you, then. If you're in the business of forking over your retirement money into a life insurance policy, knock yourself out. There's a difference between a life insurance agent and someone who's investment licensed. All they can sell you is life insurance. That's it. Life insurance is not an investable asset. Term life insurance is no frills. You die, you get a check. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's for a period of time. Just like your auto insurance, just like your medical insurance, just like most insurance policies that you have, it is for a period of time.
What do you feel is what do you believe the difference in premium prices are for same set coverage? So for $500,000, if the premium for term life is $150 a month, what would that look like equivalent for a whole life policy for that $500?
Okay, well, that's kind of hard to do. I want to say apples to apples like that because one, you have to take into consideration male or female.
Well, I'm just saying, if said person, female, this, that,
okay,
they cranked out to their term, cranked out to 150.
If the person was the same on both ends, then inherently whole life would be more expensive.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, how much more expensive are we talking? Is it like a $500,000 over here term? You can get it for $150, but then whole life, you about to pay like $600 a month for that.
So what I've seen, just in my experience, and I can't necessarily.
Yeah, we know it's variables.
Don't quote me down to the number, but 7 to 8 times out of 10, whole life ends up being twice as much as term.
Ooh.
For the same exact person.
Covered. Okay.
In coverage.
Yeah.
So just understand that. So I end up saying I can get you the same coverage for half the cost for most people. Actually, I'll put it to you like this. This is just recently too. I had a 61-year-old who was paying $94 for $25,000 in coverage. I was able to get her $50,000 for $48,000. So I got her twice the coverage at about half the cost. That's the difference. And she had a straight whole life policy.
And if you have one of those, and now I hear from Brian about this term life, and I want to switch over, how can I do that? Am I just stuck with this whole life policy, or?
No, just call me directly. I mean, it really is this conversation. I can review your policy, and I'll show you firsthand exactly so you can see for yourself, because a lot of what I do is just education, because I don't expect you to know everything. The first and foremost, I'll congratulate you for taking the steps to getting yourself covered, first and foremost. I'll congratulate you, and I'll give you a level of kudos for taking the step to see that at least you took a step in the right direction of protecting your family, because those are the people who are going to be impacted when you pass on.
Thanks.
Now we'll take a step at, okay, you got yourself covered, great. Now let's now adjust this a little bit. So I'll review your policy with you and show you now, this is why we do term instead of this, for these reasons. And I'll show you within your policy what it will and will not do for you. And I'll circle it and show you for yourself and let you read it out loud for yourself.
People feel as if they have policies. I'm not going to say they feel as if they do. They do. Where do they access them? We run across so many people are like, I know I have one, but I don't remember this and I don't remember that. And I mean, imagine if you were to pass away and you don't remember this or that, or where it's at, where do your family go to access this?
Right. So what I try to advise my clients to do is, one, nowadays with the advent of technology, most policies are, at least new policies, are electronically distributed. So most insurance companies have a portal that you can go to view and download your policies. I know ours are, where you can go view it and open it. And when you view and open it, that counts as delivered. So for me and my clients, I tell them, if you want a hard copy, let me know 2 weeks after you view the electronic one, and I'll call and I'll order you a hard copy so you can get it. Now, I will strongly recommend that if you have a hard copy of your policy, put it somewhere where people can get it. And two, you let your immediate beneficiaries know who I am. And secondly, I've probably met your immediate beneficiaries because you've introduced me to them, because I've asked them for your name and number so I can meet them. Because they'll know before I will if something happened to you. And usually, 9 times out of 10, or actually 100% of the time, the beneficiary is an adult, anyone 18 and over. So I'll ask that, hey, let me introduce me into your beneficiary so they know who I am, so that in the event something happens to you, I am their first phone call. So that way, if I'm calling them, they know it's not a scam or anything like that. If they need to call me, they know exactly who to call.
Y'all gotta get y'all affairs in order. We ain't here for a long time, just a good time. And if the times is too good, you might end up unaliving yourself, because people be doing that. So I hear. I ain't did it yet. I guess you only got one opportunity to do that. You can only have one time that was too good where you unalived yourself, and you can't come undo that one. So, having your affairs in order, I will be dropping his contact, and of course you guys can always reach out to me, but he is on my Instagram, so you guys always have that information. And what else would you like to share before we close on any other opportunities that you have for individuals who maybe they're like, I really like life insurance, maybe I could sell this or help my people, or how do I learn more? Because I think with financial planning and financial anything, education is the key. So how can people even be more educated just for themselves, or resources, or what you got for the people, Brian?
There's always an opportunity to learn more. Definitely you can reach out to me directly, and we can definitely talk about other avenues where you can learn more and get educated. We have a opportunity where you can get your license and your securities license for free with us if you choose to do so.
That's free, spelled with 2 E's.
We subsidize that whole program, and it's a income earning opportunity that you can have. You can be that one person within your family unit, your circle, and friends that can actually impact the people in your circle and your community to help them learn how to better be good stewards with their resources. So yeah, the only way you can do that is getting licensed and getting trained and learn how to do it. And not many other companies will pay for you to get your life insurance license or your securities license. So if you're interested, by all means, again, we'll pay for it. You just have to be willing and motivated to do it, and we'll definitely show you how to get it done.
Sounds good. Now, one thing that I know, and just because we're in a terrible insurance crisis right now, especially as it relates to the state of California. They hate us over here. They don't want to insure us for nada. Yeah. They say your houses be falling apart. If they don't fall apart, the ground be shaking them down. If the ground ain't shaking them down, the weather is burning them down. And if they ain't burning down, y'all can't breathe. You can't, so your car, you want me to insure your car? Oh yeah, you're going to have to ask 32 people, write a statement, do all of this, and then we might check and see if we'll get you insured. We are really under scrutiny with insurance companies. How well because we hear about people, especially as it relates to the Altadena fire, and, insurance companies, and people who have had to deal with insurance companies when it relates to car insurance companies that don't want to pay people out. Right. How good is Primerica at you make a claim and I need to get money? Am I fighting with them, or what does that look like? Because that's a problem when we already leery and skeptical of insurance around here.
Well, in my experience, we've paid every death claim that I've seen in our office, and in my personal experience, I've paid so far 2 death claims, and they've both been people I know. People I went to high school with and grew up with, and I paid 2 death claims. It kind of depends, actually, no, 3 people that I know. Normally, under normal circumstances, if the policy is older than 2 years, it should take no more than about 2 weeks, give or take. Anything over Anything less than 2 years, it might take a little bit longer than that. All insurance companies have a contestability phase, and within that less than 2 year phase, basically they'll just re-review the underwriting just to make sure they crossed all the T's and dotted all their I's, and that can take maybe 3 weeks, give or take, but about that time. But normally, if it's longer than two years, no more than 2 weeks. I'm just thinking about the 2 policies that I had, and these were very old policies in my book. It took literally 2 weeks, and I had a check in hand, and the longest part was just the delivery. And yeah, that was it. So we pay out. I can say that for a fact. We pay out. I've hand delivered every last death claim that I've had. I've hand delivered it.
Any stats on the payouts as it relates to maybe major catastrophic events?
My first one was 750.
That's a check.
But a lot of people don't realize that once you file the death claim, the money actually accrues interest. Not a lot, but I think it's like 1% or 3%
of the holding.
So
while you guys are holding the check, waiting the cash to cut it to somebody,
correct.
If it's over there earning,
right. So
cheddar.
when I filed the claim, the time it takes, the processing time it takes for them to do their processing and claim adjuster and all that, it's earning interest. So that $750 ended up being $750 and like $200 or $300 and some change. So mind you, the daughter passed away before the mother. The mother was 93 years old.
Was she the child writer on there?
Right. The sad thing was the daughter ended up changing the beneficiary while she was in the hospital to the mother. I want to say 2 to 3 weeks before she passed, because she saw the beneficiary was not really being as...
Yeah, I got you.
Right. Being as
750 would not have been a good
right.
thing
It
to
wouldn't
land
have been
in
a
those
good
hands.
look.
Yeah.
Right. So she changed it to her mother, and I went to the hospital. We did the change, got the changes in on time, and subsequently she succumbed to her illness, and got the check, hand delivered to the mother. And because this was somebody we went to high school with, some other classmates, we rallied around. We took the mom to the bank, got it deposited, and the money literally went to mom's care for the housing and so forth for the mom. So it really, 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 really helped out. Really, really helped out. So it feels good when you can, I know this can't bring her back, but I hope this helps. In those instances, it really, brings her job full circle.
To lose anybody, a parent, a sibling, a friend, I've lost them all. The only thing I haven't lost is a child, and I pray that never happens to me, but I lost everything. Yeah. It's one thing to grieve, and it's another to grieve broke.
Yeah.
Grieving was knowing that your family is taken care of, even if it's not for me to be wealthy, but it's for me to have the proper home going, because that's ultimately what you care most about, right? A proper home going for your loved one. Being able to do that without needing to have a barbecue or a car wash or all these other ancillary things that's creating more work and everything on you at the time where that's not really what you desire. I wholeheartedly will say that after I got my policy separate from my job, not saying, oh, I'm ready to die. I ain't saying that.
Hope not.
I hope not, because I got more living to do. These kids ain't about to be over here vacationing without me, and I ask them to go with me now, and they're like, But then they get a chunk of Wonka, and then they talk about, we going to the Bahamas. I asked y'all to go. Y'all was like, I don't really go. Right, ain't no turn up on me. But I will say, it is such a relief. It is, no thanks. It is one hell of a relief to know that you done something. Am I done with everything? He know I ain't done. I know I ain't done. It's just the fact that I'm stubborn and hard-headed, and he be trying to make me squeeze blood from a turnip, cause I ain't got it. I ain't been in Louis though. Okay, well, hey. We all still trying to find money around here. So I think that in our upcoming season, we're going to start working on finances together, everybody. Maybe we will have Brian give us a nice little chart of something that we can do. Maybe save some money over a course of time. A said dollar amount, like maybe by the end of a said period, collectively together through, if it's us eliminating some, maybe that could even be the task. How about we all go through just taking stock of what the heck kind of frivolous crap we're paying for and see what all we can cancel this month. Like month one isn't even saving, though we'll be saving, but one month could be how many subscriptions you found that you can, and then what was said dollar amount. And then we work from whatever we all have that $1 amount, we start from that. So mine could be, I canceled this, this, and this. I'm up to $64.99. That's a savings every month of $64.99. I would no longer be paying to cancel those subscriptions. So my $65, that is my jump off point. And then we learn with what little numbers we have, because ultimately, I think for us in these underrepresented communities, the conversations are above our head. And it keeps us where we are in a level of not understanding anything financial. And when we can get them down here where we are, the conversation, we understand what canceling Netflix looks like. They've grown up to $23.99. We know what that looks like. We all know what that looks like. We all can go in there and say, cancel subscription. They're going to say, you sure? We gonna, because that's what's going to pop up. We say yes. They're going to say, would you be okay if we give you a such and such offer to stay with us? We're going to say no, cancel, right? We all can do that. That's not above anyone's head. That's down here where we are. We've just rolled back roughly $25 into our budget a month. We know what $25 look like. We can start at the $25. So that is not a financial conversation that's up there with estate trusts and executors and all that. It's down here where we are, and we're gonna use that $25 or $23.99, or if you found two of them at $9.99, or you took off that ringtone that you've been paying for 5-10 years now that you ain't had a ringtone in forever. Yeah. But Metro PCS, we're gonna start financial school to get our crap together. And our first month is we just gonna go. And the reason why I say a month, sometimes we really don't know until we see that Apple didn't swipe something or siphoned it from us. We said, well, wait, what's this? So now, in September, we ain't gonna let it ride. We gonna say, what the hell is this $5.99 for? And then you go dig in, we gonna look and see. Oh, you was paying for that video game this whole time. That's me, I pay for them. I'm gonna keep Domino's. Oh no, I don't gotta pay for it because I paid for no commercials. I only paid $2.99 once. I'm never gonna pay that again. So we keeping Domino's. But we gonna start with those things. We're going to take stock of our stuff, and then he's going to come back and tell us what we do with this newfound $82.42 we done found. And then that, I think, would help us not feel as if this financial conversation is so above our head, and we can bring it down to the ridiculous for ourselves to learn true financial freedom and because we're freeing up our resources. So that's what we're doing. That's how you get free, is making sure your resources is resourceful and they in place to do what you want them to do, and allocate it to what their tasks or jobs are, and not us just spinning around check to check because we don't even know where the hell our money is going to, and it's going to video games, Netflix, a car racing game, and a whole bunch of other crap, because all that money adds up. And as my daddy say, if you watch your pennies, them dollars will watch themselves. So we gotta watch our pennies and see where they go, because they add up to the dollars. And with that, we're going to sign off. Do you have any last words? But when we come back, that is going to be our goal. Financial freedom. He's going to come back, help us. Any questions you guys have, if you need any information, you want to set up a one-on-one with Brian, any of that can all be found. And I'm going to repost on Instagram. And I'm also going to do another one here where I can add all of his information on there. You can also look him up, as his name is on the screen. But I will ensure that you have every means of being able to communicate with the guru, so that we can be financially free come 2026, especially because if you saw that big beautiful bill that ain't that beautiful, oh, the clamp is coming down. Like, it is. We definitely gonna have to cancel some subscriptions, or we ain't gonna have no roof over our head, because it's about to be cable or a cot outside. Either you gonna have cable or you gonna have a cot. If you can't have both,
right?
You are not about to have both. It's bad. It's dire. I appreciate Brian. You have any last words for the people?
Be good stewards with your finances and resources, and you can't save for your future in the future. You gotta start now.
Mic drop. Okay. Well, that is our show. I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all. And you always know I love y'all too. So we thank you guys. I thank you, Brian, for being my very first guest on my very last live show of the season. So y'all already know, you ain't got to go home, but you do got to get the heck up off my line.